All right, so good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Real Time Coaching Lab. I have one of my dearest Compass friends and top agent in the Hamptons, Matt Breitenbach. And you guys are all in for a treat because, when you look at like high-end luxury agents, what Matt does, he's the most raw, unedited human, and he's going to give you all different sides of the business. And he's open, he's vulnerable, he's kind. He has a house full of women, and he'll tell you a little bit about that and how he kind of balances it and thinks through his business. So, Matt, you want to just tell him a little bit about yourself, where you work in your team?
Yeah, thanks, Chirag. My brother from another mother here, and welcome. Excited to be on here. And my name is Matt Breitenbach. I'm a luxury real estate agent in the Hamptons. Born and raised in the Hamptons. Yes, there are people that come from the Hamptons and grow up here, and I'm one of them. And come from a real estate family. Grew up in the industry. Been doing this since I was 22 years old. I came to Compass originally to build this team, to build a team, and I ended up really building a brand. I see Matty Spangler on here. He's a big part of that. And he was part of those early conversations. So it's been a beautiful journey, and always keep trying to keep growing and building and getting with the right people. So, and this is the right community
All
for
right,
sure.
here's my first question for you. If you had to build your business all over again, right, and you got to start the day that you walked in with all the knowledge you have today, what would you have done differently?
I think I would lay it out. I would get a guy like you involved, I think, from ground zero, and I think um really build it out. I had to learn on the go. I was an English major at college. I always joke about that. Like, I didn't really like know kind of how to build a business early on. And I think really get like your values, your mission, you're really like where you're trying to do all your systematics and process, and really what your journey is going to look like, your roadmap, and just like, I think lay it all out. I think, and you coined this and I use it, but it's like, when you coach with me, it was like, it's like trying to like build a 747 while we're flying it, at the same time. So it's like, I wish we could just like, if I think I always tell people too, even when they first come to Compass, I'm like, yo, use this time. This is a powerful time. Really dive in and like take a little bit more time than maybe you're comfortable with, to really kind of like work on your business and what that looks like, and what it's gonna, what where you're going, and don't just go. Just build what's your program gonna look like.
So it's slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, so for most people, they can relate to this. You're going really fast, right? Every year you have the same exact challenges year over year. So it's kind of like Groundhog's Day. What has also been like the benefit of moving fast, but also where you realize that moving fast in the end is not always a solution?
Yeah, I think, I think it's such a trap as a broker, right? As in our industry as agents, like, right? Because when you run a team, you're really a broker, and you don't even you're not starting a team unless you're a successful broker to some degree, right? Like, you're like, you have enough business where you're like, all right, let's like scale this. And and I think scaling sometimes is not always moving fast. It's like you do have to kind of slow, as you said, slow down to speed up a little bit, and maybe sacrifice that. And it's hard as a broker, right? Because I always like, I'm my mom's a broker. I grew up. I've been doing this since I was 22. I feel like I always joke I have like a PhD in real estate agent brain, like the real estate agent brain. And I'm like, we have this like click, like clock in us. Like, if we're not trying to do a deal or trying to do something that we're like trying to make money, we're just like, we just live off commissions, right? So we have this like, what made us successful sometimes makes us hard to build a business, because we're ingrained just to try to do deals all day and try to like hunt and like get business and build relationships and do deals and sell houses and da 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 da. And then sometimes you just have to find that time to really like work on the business, and it's hard. It takes a lot of discipline. Like right now, I'm revamping our whole website. It's really exciting, but I'm like really in the, like, I spent 2 hours in a busy summer season, like yesterday, really just kind of diving into some of our back end of our brand, and like our about, and some of our story, and some of the stuff that's be really prevalent on our site. But I had to like spend that time, and really I was like, it's fun to do it, but also at the same time, I'm like shaking that I got to go make 10 phone calls and like go do some business, because I got to, you know, make some money. And I think that's what's hard, I think, as an agent.
How many kids you have, Matt?
Four kids. King of the girl dads, four girls, which I'll be selling houses till I'm 150 probably, because I got four daughters. But 4 weddings. But I'm counting on 4 really great son-in-laws. That's what I'm looking forward to, hopefully, and we could talk business. But yeah, so
You
a
know,
lot going.
yeah, but you do have a decent balance, right? So one of the things we want to shift this into is this concept of brand, right? I think out of all agents, I definitely put you in top three in the country for brand because you are like the marketer's marketer, right? Like you're innovative, you've been forward thinking. God knows how many people in your market rip off and duplicate your stuff with a nice form of flattery. But like when you think about a brand for a real estate agent or a team, like what does that mean to you?
I think something to think about. This is what sometimes agents really should think about. This, and I heard this, and I like it really hit with me that's how I look at it. It's like I'm not just a guy that sells real estate. I'm a marketer that sells real estate, right? Like you need to market your brand, yourself, your brand. You have to, and that's what I'm saying. Like slow down and really think about what are we trying to say? Who are we? What's the message here? And I think and that could be really unique and that could be really singular too. Like it doesn't have to just be, I think real estate agents sometimes you see it's a copycat business. And not that even myself has not seen some other things like, oh, they're doing a great job. That what is like how they're doing that. Maybe we incorporate some of that. But like I think really like because everyone's so different. Like that's what's so beautiful about Reels. That's what I really thought that like Compass got from the marketing side. Actually, like when I first came to Compass, like the tech was like we just had marketing center. We didn't have CRM. We didn't have any. I mean, I think we barely had marketing centers, just collections. Like I've been here almost a decade, right? So it was like, but it was like meeting with a guy like Matt Spangler, meeting some of like the marketing guys, and having this open platform really excited me that you can like, and that's what I always thought Compass really got. And that's why I tell, like I said earlier, like when people come here, they have such an opportunity. Like you have marketing, you have an in-house creative team here. Like what brokerage has that? Like I always say, like you could talk to Compass and be like, "Hey, I want to fly a hot air balloon with my logo on it across like a field." They're like, "Oh, that's interesting. How do we do that?" And they're like, "All right, let's do." Like they'll talk to you about anything you want to do. Like I built my own book, which now we're turning into a magazine. Like there's so much stuff you could do, and there's so much ability here, and it's exciting, and it should excite you because it's like, what do you want to say? And I think it's really individual to your own business.
Share some of those ideas like you did with the jitney, the book, your podcast with everyone, and like just an idea because I think the word brand is like so like over conceptualized. Like to me, a brand in real estate as an agent is how somebody experiences you, right? And like that could be through digital communication, the words that you use in person, your sales process, like it's all of the different things, right? So what are some of your creative ideas that you've had for branding over the year that have worked well? It's like actual examples.
Yeah, no, I've always, like I said, always cherished marketing, and I have an in-house marketing manager. Actually, like it was actually I brought it in house, and it's been huge to have a graphic designer because I have a lot of ideas. Um, and we have basically I created a podcast that was basically started as a video series. I always shot a lot of video content forever. I was always big into video. Um, and I had like, I shot a lot. I was always pushing out a lot of content and always pushing out a lot of stuff on social media, which now it gets me a ton of business. And actually just being, I think we talked about brand. I think also what's your voice going to be on social and some of that stuff too. So that was really important. The podcast has been big, which kind of spawned me having this like, we call it Disrupt Media now. It was Disrupt Podcast, but it's almost like we look at ourselves as like we have an in-house media team because I have a guy that shoots video for me on retainer every week. I have an in-house marketing manager. So it's like we're like almost like a content studio. If you want to bring a property to market with us, we're like, all right, we want to get as many eyeballs on this as we can, and how do we do that? And we just got brought in an $11 million listing in Amagansett in the Lanes as a co-lister just because of our digital ability and some of that stuff. Another thing we did, which we want to keep evolving, is called a listing portfolio book. We did an event
I
with
love it,
with
by the way.
yeah, that's your favorite thing. It started actually when I came to Compass, my first year at Compass, 2018, and the Golf US Open, which is coming back next year, but it was here at Shinnecock Hills in Southampton at 2018. I was doing an event with Bubba Watson at the time, big pro golfer, and I'm like, what do I like? I'm having this event, like, what do I do? And the marketing team at Compass was like, why don't we just put it like, and we kind of discussed it. We brainstormed, like, why don't we put all my listings in a book? We'll put like a little intro and we'll put it in like we'll do some swag bag and like give out all my stuff, right? Like it'd be great. And we called it the listing portfolio book. And we ended up, we do it like twice a year now. It goes out, we mail it, we print it, we keep it in cars, I bring it on pitches. It's become like almost like a brand book with listings, and it's just been a great weapon for us. And then also we created a landing page online that now when we send it out, we have the link to it, and we get so much, I have people in my database that I'm like, oh, like they're looking for a house again because they want to download the book. So I'm like, oh, they're interested. So we get like a notification. We have it routed so it goes right into our Compass CRM as soon as they go on that landing page. And it's been a huge weapon for us, just for clients and just for buyers out there.
Because for some context, right? This book is, I think it's probably 9 by 11, right? It's not like, like a regular piece of paper. So you're looking at like a book that's like this with like beautiful paper, beautiful imagery. Like it literally looks like Louis Vuitton or Chanel or Hermes sent you like a catalog in the mail, right? And there's still something I think in the more that digital evolves, right, Matt? Like about like something that you can really touch and feel and see. And so someone asked here in the chat, what was the investment in that?
Yeah, I think you have printing costs, but you could do it like, listen, I've been in through markets where it's been tight. We don't always print it. We used to do it quarterly and print it. It'd be a lot. It's a couple thousand, it depends on how much you run them and what kind of paper you use and whatever. You could do it at different levels. I think it's like, usually between 4 and 5 thousand bucks if we're really doing a big printing on it. But, we also get like, 6 months of that stuff. Um, and I'm telling you, like, I think I built a lot of my compass number because I got into handwritten notes, and I should bring this back. But I was writing when we would do the listing portfolio launch. I would get a stack of handwritten notes, and I made a goal like, I'd write like 5 a week, and I would just do it throughout the week, and I would write to compass agents in my network or referral partners, and I'd send them a copy of the book. My old assistant, like, he kept my old boy, my Jake, God rest him. I love him. He's not with me anymore, but I love him. But he kept going to UPS every freaking week. It was driving him crazy because he'd go to UPS and send out these books with handwritten notes. But I write all my referral partners, hey, looking forward to doing more deals with you, and send that out. But it's a commitment. I think any marketing is a commitment, but you're going to listen, marketing, like what's really been exciting. And this is why, like, I always just rep Compass so much is because like I came here, like I went to Robert Shabbat dinner and I told him, I was like, I came here to build a team. You guys help me build a brand. And when I built the brand, now it's like, I think when you build a brand and you kind of feel it, like more of a brand, like the business comes to you a lot more. It's a lot less like the phone rings, the phone starts ringing, and it's a magnet, and stuff starts getting attracted to you a lot easier.
Tell everybody what percentage of your, first of all, let me go backwards. What is roughly on average a year of your annual sales volume?
My annual sales volume,
Yeah.
yeah, we do about 100 million a year, give or take, and it has been up to 300 depending on market swings. So, usually about 100, 125, in there yearly.
And so like out of that, what percentage comes from Compass agent to agent referrals? This is an impressive number.
Oh yeah, I sent Robert this when he was in San Diego. I think he started going crazy. No, we did. I think last year we did half. Well, yeah, we do. Probably so we do on average about 500,000 in GCI just from Compass referrals every year at least. So, you know,
So, and then the other part is Matt, the thing that I think that makes Matt unique is I don't know anybody that I've met on earth, right? And I've talked to a lot of real estate agents that enjoys calling and talking to people more every day than you do. Like if you could,
yeah,
like one of the things that we talked about in coaching and team building when we're working together was, can you just build the entire team around you so we just lock you in a room and call people all day? Like tell people about your call schedule.
yeah. I mean, you need to. I love the CRM to death. I've always used CRMs even prior to Compass. When Compass launched theirs, I was like probably the most geek excited person in the whole company. Um, and the way I do it is I put people on, and I tell people there's these are the action plans that you need in the CRM. It's very simple. You just put them in there. They're in there automatically. You can just put them in there. It's the weekly, the weekly, monthly, and quarterly. That's all. You need those three. That's it. And what I do is I put people on a weekly, quarterly, or monthly follow-up action plan, depending on how much I want to call them. And then I open the calendar every day in the task. And I'm like, it just tells me who to call. And I'm always in there updating it and doing it and going after it. And like, Rory Gollard will even joke. I was on a panel and he was like, Matt follows up with me. I'm like, I don't even have anything to talk to him about. I send him a quick text. And it doesn't have to be, listen, it's all about building relationships. It's all about personality and people. And it's fun to like, once you look at it more like relationship building and not just sales, like it gets a lot more fun. Like, it just becomes about learning and talking to people and learning how to do that. And believe it or not, like I was always actually a rather introverted kid. This business being at such a young age has made me more of now I'm like I call myself like an intro and extrovert. I'm like kind of both. And I like but you start to like it's like working out every day. You just got to do it. Sometimes it's not you don't want to do it for some reason. You just kind of want to like go on your computer and come up with something else to do. But like once you get in there and get calm people and see what it really creates, it's really really powerful. And it like this business like outreach creates energy, creates deals, creates activity. Like it, you have like once you start putting things in motion in real estate, like the things happen. And like I'll not want to call some guy. It tells me to call some guy. I'll reach out, and it'll like all of a sudden it spurs like two or three other reach outs that I have to do because the guy's interested in this, and then I got to call this other person, and then and it just starts like creating activity. So I'm in it every day. I just try to make time, no matter what's going on, to really to kind of be in
You found a way to enjoy it. I think that's the important part. And you're an
yeah.
English major, so it's not like this is like
Yeah.
your, I always tell people, it's a business that everyone makes complicated because at the end of the day, I'm not taking away, it wasn't stressful, right? I sold real estate too. I had kids I had to support. It was the only income. But in the end of the day, what do? You text people, you call people, you email people, you put cool things on social media. Most of us get to see cool and exciting houses. You hang out with your Compass colleagues. It's really not that complicated, right? Like, and I always tell clients to get stuck, like put a little sticky note, right? It says, today I have the opportunity to deepen my relationship with 5 people. Who do I want to connect with today? And like that frame just really changes the outcome of the conversation. But talk about like finding inventory and deals, right? Because like you've been doing this off market, and Hamptons has always been a big off market place. But dude, you put a fair amount of deals together off market?
Yeah, we have about I think we have like I love getting Robert's size. I'll text him some of these data points sometimes. And I'm like, I just listed 50 million in private exclusives. And he's like, oh, like he gets so jacked up. And then like Gordon calls me. He's like, oh, Robert has dropped your name to all the sales managers across the region. Like, but it's like the three-phase marketing, like I was doing private exclusive stuff like before it was even like a thing. Maybe I helped them craft it, but like because my old admin used to just write private in front of the exclusive agreement when we were doing like before it was even like we had like a real agreement. So I think it's really I love to see it formalized and I love to see the Compass thing. And it's such a weapon. And for anyone out there, like it's such a weapon and it's so huge. And we've been leaning into it so hard the last 12 months. I mean, we always did it. But it's a place like the Hamptons, right? When you have a major hedge fund guy in the ultra luxury space, like he doesn't want to be on page 6. Like he's a like he like I've dealt with athletes and celebrities in my career too. This just been blessed to be in that space too. And like you handle them very similar to how you handle an ultra high net worth individual, like because it's all privacy and confidentiality and discernment, and they don't, not everybody wants to know that they're trying to sell their house, but of course, like there's a price to sell, or maybe they would want to entertain it, and like, it's more for them. Like some of these guys I deal with, it's more of like it's funny. A lot of markets you try to take emotion out of deals. Like in some of these guys I deal with, I'm trying to put emotion into it because they're just. I'm like, it's not a stock. It's a house for your family. Like look at it like lifestyle. Like this is like, come on. But everything is an ROI and these numbers. But we do a ton of off market stuff, and I also hunt a lot of inventory continually too. I have a whole system where I'll be on. There's an app out there called Landglide. You guys should look into it, and we just plot like if we get a listing, like we'll call the neighbors. I'll try to do outreach to the neighbors, try to see who I know, and like, and I have a whole. Then I have also a whole Google sheet that's like each town. It's basically like a directory of like different listings, and I just try to sit, keep, just continually always trying to look for inventory because we're big listers. We're always carrying at least like 150 to 300 million in listings in the marketplace at any given time. And we work with a lot of
What do
developers.
you do? How do you find buyers, Matt, for those off-market opportunities? The worst thing an agent can do is make this whole grand promise of like, because I always say that it's called three-phase marketing, right? Like you actually have to market the property. What kind of strategy and implementation do you do for off-market properties?
Yo, it goes back to simplicity, right? Like Chirag, what you're saying, like it goes back to like agents make this business really hard. And I think I learned this like years ago. Um, and I was like, I got this listing, this $16 million listing with this big guy. He's a big hedge fund guy. And then I got it with this other agent who didn't even have a website. He was like this crazy rogue guy. He like drove around in a Range Rover, had two cell phones. And I'm like, I gotta like, I was excited to work with him because I've just heard about this guy. He did like Ron Barron's deal on the Ocean East Hampton for 100+ million. I'm like, this is exciting. And we get this property. I'm like, hey man, like, what's the strategy? He's like, we're gonna call everybody and we're gonna do an open house. We're just gonna get as many people here as we can. And I was like, oh, we're not like doing a crazy video or all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, like a lot of agents, and a lot of your competition, you can use this when you pitch against them. I call it the wait and see strategy. They'll list it and then they like maybe do an open house. They don't even call anybody to promote the open house. And they just kind of sit there. They don't really have a follow-up strategy if anyone comes through, right, the listing. They don't have their CRM segmented, so they can't even like do outreach to maybe buyers between a certain thing. And they just sit there and be like, "Oh, the listing hasn't sold," and then they don't know why the seller's mad at them when they try to go reduce the price. Is because you're not showing proactiveness. You're not showing that you're actually working at trying to get bodies and people through the house. And that's what's
So
simple
what do
about
you do? Let's go back to this. So like you listed my house that's privately. What are the first three things you do? And I tell you I don't want to sell on market. What are the three things that you do to get bodies in the home?
if it's a private listing, I'm going to call not just Compass agents. That's why I've been fighting people online about this whole private exclusive thing. I'm going to call the top agents that I know that deal in that space, whatever they are. And they're different. If it's a Montauk listing, I know the guys that do most of the deals in Montauk. If it's like an oceanfront, I'm calling them. If it's Southampton Estate section, whatever, I'm calling the top agents that I know that I've built relationships with for that. But before I do that, I'm also going to my database. Like I have my whole database segmented of buyers by tiers, and they're all price tiers. So I'm going to go through there. I'm going to look at my own buyers. I'm going to look at these tiered buyers. We're going to do some email marketing, probably send a blast just to those buyers, no agents first. I'm going to go to my buyers first, and then then I move to the agents and then I move to the top agents. But I do it fast and then I try to get the whole idea is to try to get, even if it's a preview, like, I don't care. Even if they don't have a buyer, I'm trying to bring someone through that house so just I can get them through that house. And then I can kind of stay in contact with my seller at the same time. We create text threads, me and my partner Kevin, with every seller we have. And whenever we're in there, we're always updating them. We're like, we believe in like a heavy communication. So they feel like we're working it and we're not just like, they never hear crickets from us.
Remember that listing you told me they fired you from after you spent all that money because they didn't hear from you? Tell them about that. It was a
Yeah,
good lesson.
that was one of the best lessons I've ever had. I got this big referral. He owned like 3 magazines. He was this really cool guy. Member, he was one of the like big exec at that Gilt group in the city, like big company. Really awesome guy. Knew everybody. He had like Tony Robbins at his house one summer. Like he was just like, and I was so excited. He hired me. He picked me, and he fired me 6 months later. And I was like, Jay, like what
You
happened?
did
Like
all the things, right?
I
Like you put
did
them in
it was
magazine.
inside cover of the New York Post. Okay, I spent like I don't even know, it's like 6, 7 grand. I did all this crazy like great photos, like was like worked my butt off, and I did all this other print marketing and all this stuff. And I was like, Jay, like why'd you fire me? He's like, Matt, I haven't heard from you, and you didn't get anyone to come look at the house. And I was like, that's what's so simple about it. Like, if you communicate, you can save so much money. And brokers can just like you can just communicate with your seller as like we put sellers talk about the weekly, monthly, quarterly. Like we put sellers on a weekly drip. Like we're just like it reminds me every week. Any exclusive client, anyone signs exclusive with us, like if it's not me, it's my partner Kevin, or like because we run a really tight small team. But I'm like, it's one of us is assigned to like updating that seller. Not only just giving them a quick update, and we also update them after every appointment. But that's what sellers want to hear. Like I have a place in Vermont I was selling last year, and I was like telling my wife, I was like, this broker, like I see, like if you ever work with a broker, it's funny, it gives you a good judge of like how you want to be treated. Like it's like I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, why am I chasing her around? Right? No one wants to be chased around if you're like in a service place, right? If you're working for a client, you want to be updating them continually. Hey, like even if listen, and this is hard too, right? It's a conversation you don't want to have, like, is the conversation that needs to be had, right? Because how do you get a price? Like, how can you ever get a listing price right if you're not talking to your seller? And people like, oh, I don't want to talk. I don't want to. I hear people like guys who used to work on my team too. So I don't want to call them like we have no showings. I'm like, yeah, you should call them because you have no showings. Like, you should tell them, like, just tell them, hey, listen, I've called like 50 people, and that helps you too. Like when you're doing when you're like calling and you're really proactive, the guy's like, this guy's really working for me. He's not just like waiting and seeing. Like he's really grinding it. And like I've just noticed that like sellers don't really give a crap about some of this like print stuff and all this like they're like, oh, the sellers want to see it. No, they don't. They just want to see people. They want to see people through the house. They want to see activity. That's what anyone would see. Like, and I think anyone on this call or anyone out there can attest to the same thing. If you're trying to sell your house, like you want to see showings, at least previews. You want to see your broker working for you.
So look, we have a minute left. Any parting words for the people here, Matt?
You can
Like if
do
they could do
anything.
one thing out of this call, what would you wish everybody did that would make them more money and happier in their business?
That it's a lot more simpler than you thought, and you can do anything. Like I think the most beautiful thing about real estate is that it's like a guy like me that's been doing 20 years or anyone, or maybe someone that's started tomorrow, someone that's just started tomorrow could go out there and outsell me in 12 months, just from from a hustle standpoint, an outreach standpoint. And like, that was the one thing. My mom's a broker. One thing she taught me, she's like, Matt, every year the score goes back to zero in real estate. And there's no corporate structure where the VP or the like C or someone at this whatever level can do more. You see it all the time. These guys come in here and just blast through this business and outpace people that have been doing it for 20 years. And it's because it's a desire and a passion, and it's not that complicated. It's really just a people business and relationship business, and that's all it is. And if I wish sometimes I don't, I wish I joke with my partner. I wish it was like back when we built this business 10 years ago when there was just us in a room, smelled like egg sandwiches, and it was just like I know other we're just calling people all day and just outreach, and like that's a fun time. Like, so you can do anything in this business. There's no cap to it, and there's no handicap to anybody.
The only handicap are the thoughts and the story you tell yourself.
Yeah, right on, man.
Matt,
Right
for some context, Matt's mom is literally one of the top brokers in the Hamptons, and like we always joke around in our coaching calls, like how are we gonna make a plan to outsell Susan? So Matt's coming pretty close. Matt, what was it like the first time you beat your mom out on a pitch to give something that everyone to laugh about, just
It
to
was an
sign off
awkward
on?
Thanksgiving. It was an awkward Thanksgiving, but it was a really winning situation. It was a funny too thing because he was a major guy. Um, and I beat out everybody. Actually, it was like all the top thing. It really made me feel like it actually like one of the guys I beat on that pitch actually came to Compass 3 months later because they're like, what the hell is Breitenbach doing? Like, how did he get that? He beat his mom, he beat everybody, and it was good. My mom and I now collaborate a lot now. Like we do try to a lot to do a business together, and um, it's fun. It's fun working with her. We did a big $24 million deal last year together, which was fun, and we try to team up now these days. After now, we're kind of like equally like rocket ships in the sky. But she's hopefully she'll come to Compass one day. I'm trying. I'm working on it. We'll get her here. But Robert always says I'm
No,
the only guy, the only like he knows a lot of son teams and daughter team, whatever. Like I'm the only guy that kind of like went out on my own and did my own thing, which is probably a whole nother 30-minute call we can get into another day. But
yeah, 100%. Look, I just want to thank you, one, for, with you, it's always raw, it's honest. And, look, man, I think everyone can get inspiration from Matt. It was both tactical, but look, Matt's a hero in his own journey, right? He doesn't settle. He believes activity is the cure to all problems, right? Like you go out and you do stuff. So follow as we call it, the bat team, right? So in the recap email, Matt, I'm going to give you a call after just for a couple materials, but let's send everyone your listing book and just a couple other things that they can do. And look, like Matt's in the Hamptons, right? If you want to connect, you're out there. He is as normal as a person that you could find. So you and Carl Gambino are like definitely two of my favorite luxury brokers, right? It's just like normal conversations, right? You think what people think of somebody that sells 25, $30 million listings, and then you meet them, it's like they're all just regular people. So for everybody, love my heart. I love you all. We'll see you all back next week. And we look forward to getting you the information, and send us both the message when you take something from here and you actually use it. So next week when we come back, if people don't have wins to actually share, you guys got to use the information here. I'm going to quit. Just kidding. But all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Later.
Thanks.